What is up, guys? Today we'll be comparing the G9 Plus to the Redmi Note 8 Pro, one of my favorite phones. It's actually one of the best-selling phones of last year, and I think still this year. Actually, that's how good this phone is. So let's go ahead and get started. The Note 8 Pro you can actually pick up for around $225. Links will be down below. The G9 Plus is around $300 right now. So starting off with the hardware, these are two very nice looking phones. I really love the design on the Note 8 Pro. The Note 8 Pro is a glass phone. It's got a plastic railing. It does have a bit of a weight to it. Actually, it feels actually the same amount of weight as the G9, so that is really interesting. But I just love the pearl white color on here. It just looks really good. You got your fingerprint scanner, camera set up on the back. You also have your power button, volume rocker. You got a single firing speaker on the bottom, and you also have a 3.5mm jack. On the Note 8 Pro, I do think it has the prettier camera module setup. I really like the way it looks, and it still has the color inside of here, which I really like. So you do have the fingerprint scanner on the side now, which is something that I love. Volume rocker. You have a Google Assistant button on here as well, which is pretty cool. You also have a single firing speaker, USB Type-C, and you also have your 3.5mm jack up top. Alright, so let's talk about the display. So you have a massive 6.81-inch display on the G9 Plus. It is 1080p 386 for the PPI. It's got the little punch hole. And on the Note 8 Pro, you have a 6.53-inch display, 1080p 395 for the PPI. And they both look great. I really like the punch hole on the G9 Plus over the water drop notch on the Note 8 Pro. But as far as display quality, they both pretty much look the same. Both very colorful IPS displays, give off the same kind of punchy colors and stuff like that. They both get fairly bright as well, so it just really comes down to if you want a bigger display or not. But I do like the punch hole. I do think it gives off a more immersive experience here. Now, like I said, both phones have a fingerprint scanner on them, a physical one. And I like the one on the G9 Plus because I think it's just an easier spot to get to, and plus you don't have to pick the phone up to be able to unlock it. You could just have it, down like that and unlock it. So I really like this method a little bit more on the power button. Now with the Note 8 Pro, it's the physical one on the back, and it's very easy as well. You just boom. But like I said, you have to pick this one up. You can't really unlock it without it being on the table. They both have face unlock, which is great as well. Now, a lot of people complain about the fingerprint scanner right here, being right here because it smudges the camera lens. I usually don't have that problem. I've gotten pretty good, I guess, at knowing where it's at. But yeah, so for fingerprint scanners, they're both excellent. Alright, let's talk about software with both of these phones. So they're almost completely different. So you have stock version of Android with Moto Actions, which is basically just a bunch of gestures that Motorola has thrown in here, and you can actually personalize your phone now, which is something new that they added here. So there are a couple of customization things you can do in here, but as far as being a whole bunch of features, you're not going to find that in the stock version of Android like you will find on MIUI. So you have Android 10 on MIUI 12, and there is so much stuff in MIUI 12. It's ridiculous. It's just a lot of stuff you can customize and play with, and you just go through these settings. There's so many gestures, special features. You have a second space kind of thing on here, as well. As you can see, just a ton of stuff. So if you're really into just having a ton of features like on the Galaxy phones with the One UI skin, you can think of it like that. It is a ton of stuff on here. I really love the MIUI 12 skin for that. But if you just want something more simplistic, then Android 10, the stock version, is going to be the best option for you. Now you have the Snapdragon 730G and the Adreno 618 on the G9 Plus. You have the Helio G90T on the Note 8 Pro with the Mali G76 GPU. So let's go ahead and do a little real world speed test, and then we can get into the benchmarks. So let's go ahead and do Temple Run. It's like the G90T got it. And these are two great gaming phones as well, especially the Note 8 Pro. It's able to play pretty much most games on high settings, including Fortnite, which is very impressive. Again, the G90T is faster here. Let's try the cameras. Let's try Instagram. Looks like the 730G got it there. They're both very fast, very smooth as well. And gestures on here are super smooth, fast too. Have no issues with that. So it looks like your regular applications that are non-gaming apps are run better on the Snapdragon 730 processor is what it's looking like. And it looks like the G90T opens games slightly faster as from what I can see here. Alright, you can see from the Geekbench scores, the G90T is slightly behind the 730G, as you can see here in both the single core and multi-core scores. So let's go ahead and check out some gaming performance and see what kind of graphics we get with PUBG here. Alright, we're in the game here. So let's go ahead and check out the graphics, see what we're dealing with here. Okay, so we got HDR Ultra on the Redmi Note, as high as we can go. Boom. So we only have HD and high on the G9. So see what that actually looks like. It looks like we have just higher graphics and frame rates, I guess, on the G90T here. And yeah, I can tell the difference actually. I can tell the difference in frame rate too. So it is a difference that you can tell. Alright, both these phones have single firing speakers, so let's go ahead and see which one is the loudest, starting with the G9. So the G9 speaker definitely is louder and definitely sounds a little bit better. It's got more of a bass presence, and the mids and highs are just more present. Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, there is a big difference when it comes to just the punchiness of the sound. So definitely, I think the G9 speaker is better here. Alright, let's talk about some additional specs. So you do get micro SD support with both of these phones, 128 gigs and 4 gigs of RAM on the G9 Plus. You get 64 gigs on the Note 8 Pro with 6 gigs of RAM. You also have, again, a headphone jack on both. Both of these phones have NFC, which is great for mobile payments. So I love that that's there. And you also have an infrared port on the Redmi Note 8 Pro, which is really nice. So a lot of phones don't have that. So that is a really nice feature to have if you want to use your phone as a remote control or something like that. So let's go ahead and talk about the camera. So on the G9 Plus, you have a 64 megapixel standard, a 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. You get 4K video, 16 megapixel selfie. You get 1080p on that one. On the Note 8 Pro, you get a 64 megapixel lens, a 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth sensor, 4K video, 20 megapixel front facing camera that shoots in 1080p. So basically, the Redmi Note 8 Pro's camera is much better than the G9 Plus, as you can see from these photos. So I might not put them side by side because I want you to actually see the full detail here. So it is a big difference when it comes to just the overall color accuracy. The detail is just better on the Note 8 Pro. Overall, I just prefer the Note 8 Pro's photos, dynamic range, everything was better. So Motorola definitely has to work on the cameras a little bit. Let's talk about battery life, because this is where the G9 Plus excels. So you have a 5,000 milliamp battery with 30-watt charging. On the Note 8 Pro, you have a 4,500 milliamp battery with 18-watt fast charging. So much slower charging speeds on the Note 8 Pro as compared to the G. You also get just much better battery life on the G9 Plus. You can easily get through a day, if not 2 days, on the G9 Plus. With the Note 8 Pro, if you look at my drain test, you're getting around 7 hours of screen on time. So you could definitely get through a day, no problem. It's going to be charging at the end of the day. And on the G9 Plus, you really won't have that problem if you're not like going super hard on your phone. So let me know what you guys think about both phones, and I will catch you guys in the next one.